78.6 FM Yoma Time, Positive Vibes radio show with Winsome and Mr. G. This is the Magic Saturday, the triple PV, perfect people for positive vibes Saturday. This is one of my favorite parts of the month. I get Mr. G to come in, and he agrees. I had to wrestle him all week, right, and get Miss G's permission and say, hey, sir, can you teach us something great? And a few weeks ago, right, I ain't going to ruin his intro because it's amazing. A few weeks ago, he did a speech for one of our leadership. And when he told me, I wasn't able to make it because I was getting beat up at our day job. But when he told me what he spoke about, I said, Mr. G, you have to tell everybody about this because this is an awesome subject, and it's unique. You don't hear that a lot. That's right. So, Mr. G, let me turn you up. Hold on. Say something real fast.
There we go.
There
now we're talking.
Yeah. Mr. G, what are we talking about today?
Hey, listen, today we're going to talk a little bit about what I like to call or coined the phrase quiet greatness.
Quiet greatness.
Quiet greatness.
Listen to that, man.
Yes,
he even said it quietly. Quiet greatness. What is quiet greatness, big brother?
I tell you what, that is a very good question. When you come to thinking about people that are quietly great, what comes to mind? Well, what comes to mind for me are those people that display these superior qualities or abilities, and they're put in certain circumstances, and those qualities are put into play, and they are just really humble and reserved about how they go about doing their thing. Right. You know what I'm saying? So they aren't flamboyant or kind of outlandish or anything like that. They're just quietly doing what they're doing. But what they're doing is great.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Gotcha.
That's quiet greatness to me.
Okay.
So
I see. For me, I guess, and I had to think when you asked me that question. We didn't rehearse this at all, just so you guys know. He asked me, and he kind of walked off real smooth. Like, he was like, Winston, thinking quiet greatness, who do you think, right? And I was like, and he just walks off. By the time I could answer, it was like a smoke. But I'm thinking, for me, Naomi Osaka from the Olympics.
Yes.
You don't hear her say much.
Nope.
And she doesn't even like to talk to press. But she's amazing on the court.
Absolutely.
What she does, we don't see how she practices, what she does behind the scenes. But when it's game time, that's, for me, that's quiet greatness, and she lets her actions speak louder than her words.
Absolutely.
Yes,
that is a perfect example of quiet greatness. That's exactly who I was thinking of when I heard her, pull out and just say, hey, look, I got to take care of myself.
Yes.
Personal resiliency. But letting her talk and do it on the court. Right. You know what I'm saying?
So she and who recently did that, we're going to talk about that, the third segment. She did that with the press, and then Simone Biles pulled out of the Olympics because she didn't want to.
That's right.
She wanted to focus more on her. I ain't going to spoil that.
Yeah, you're going to spoil it.
That's the third
not get
segment.
ahead of herself. But no, you went. The way you opened it up today was you were talking about how I was actually giving this speech for somebody. Yes. And so that the person that I was giving it for was our former squadron commander, right? Lieutenant Colonel James Stillwell. And for me, I know that she displayed quiet greatness, and it was on display when I first got here. Okay. When I first got here, we, Sarah and I, my wife and I, we settled in and we were doing some things. And then I was just getting into the groove of my job and so forth. And she sent, Lieutenant Colonel Stillwell sent me off to future operations because COVID hit,
Wow, that's right. They built all the special cells, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Exactly. So I was in the future operations and so I would be in on the commander's briefings and all this kind of stuff. And I'd get in with the wing leadership and everything. Yeah. And this general, General Carey, would be the one leading. He's the was the wing commander at the time. Right. And he would oftentimes ask the group commanders questions. Hey, what about this? Or what's the status on that? Right. Or what are we doing with this? Right. Well, oftentimes the group commanders, they knew a lot, but sometimes they were stumped. They didn't know what the right answer was or what was the status and so forth. And so they would turn around and they would turn around hopefully to one of their squadron commanders and then they would say, oh, hey, look, Colonel Stillwell, she would know the answer. Right. And so she comes out and she just was able to explain with calm confidence You know, everything about it. She would present the situation, present the facts, explain it all, and then she would be able to say, hey, this is what we're doing. And she answered all the questions just exactly the way she needed to in order to answer the general's question.
Got you.
You know, and that was just her quiet greatness coming through. She was already prepared. She knew how to present, and she was able to answer the questions. And so that was just, you know, her being quietly great.
Nice. So she was the Naomi Osaka of the MPF.
Yes.
FSS.
Of the MSG.
MSG.
Yes, Mission Support Group. You got it. That's
So
exactly right.
What I'm hearing is basically she would prep. She knew what she was going to walk into. She was prepared for war.
That's right.
And when she went in the room, nobody saw her preparation. Nobody heard or seen how she prepped. But it was on full display when it was game time.
Exactly.
I love it.
Exactly.
I love it.
So, you know, and those folks that we talk about, Naomi, and we talk about Lieutenant Colonel Stillwell, they fall into categories. There's 3 categories of people that have greatness about them. And it goes back to a quote that I remembered, and I had to look it up. It wasn't off the top of my head. I did a little research on this one.
He knew this guy.
I know it. Well, this guy by the name of Shakespeare, back in 1601, he wrote a play called Twelfth Night. Okay. And I know that some of our listeners are going to listen to this and remember this quote. But the quote is, "Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them."
I like that.
You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
There are 3 categories. There are those that okay, so the first category they're talking about is the born into greatness. Okay, so when you're talking about born into greatness, you're talking about those princesses or princes that are born into aristocracy. You know, they're born into greatness. They're automatically great. Then you got those that
I like how we said they're automatically great.
You're automatically great.
You woke up great.
That's right. Yes, no matter what you did. Oh, you sneezed. Oh, that was great.
Automatic. Yes, sir.
And then after that, you think of those guys that achieve greatness.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Those are the guys that work diligently day after day. Yep. They dedicate their lives to a passion. You think of people like Mozart, or you think of Galileo, Einstein. In modern day, you think of Tiger Woods, for instance.
Michael Jordan.
Or Michael Jordan, exactly. The Beatles, all those things. You know, they're people that pursue greatness. You know, Malcolm Gladwell has this rule called the 10,000 hour rule.
Yep.
He says that basically that it takes 10,000 hours of intensive practice to achieve mastery of a complex skill and materials. Basically, you're trying to accomplish greatness because you've dedicated your life to doing something, okay, and you do achieve it, you know, through that 10,000 hours or whatever, and you become world class at it. Now, the caveat that I read about as well is it also depends on who's coaching you, okay, who's your teacher, and I relate that back to when I was playing piano. When I progressed through and I grew up and I knew more and I started practicing and playing more. I went through different levels of teachers. Okay, so those teachers would take you to a certain level because that's where they're at. Then you get to this next level of teacher that's going to take you beyond that other teacher.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it'll take you up to a higher level, up to like the Olympics, for instance.
Exactly.
You get those Olympic quality coaches that take you up to the pinnacle of your performance you're able to do.
So let me ask you about that, because I've heard that comment or that quote before about the 10,000 hours. You bring out a point that I've never even dreamed to think about. So you can do 10,000 hours with Coach A.
Yep.
But Coach A is only going to take you to his level of mastery.
There you go.
So what you're saying is, if I'm putting in 10,000 hours of work, I want to be the best basketball player. But Coach A is a three-point expert. He can't teach me how to dunk.
Nope.
I got to go from Coach A, I can shoot now, to Coach B, who's going to teach me how to shoot. Now I can dunk.
Bingo.
Oh, man.
Now you're talking.
Man. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. Hey, let's go. Okay.
That's it. So that's the first two. The first one, born into greatness. Second is achieving greatness.
Got it.
The third ones are people that are thrust into greatness. Okay. Now, when you're thrust into greatness, it doesn't mean that you accidentally became great.
Right.
No, it isn't like that at all. What it means is that you were put in a situation that required greatness to succeed, and you met it. Okay, and you met it. So you were put in that situation. Think of a guy by the name of I don't know. Do you remember back a little while ago? A guy by the name of Sully Sullenberger.
Sully, the pilot.
The pilot, yes, indeed, the airline pilot.
Interesting.
Took out of New York, and I'm not sure which airport it was, LaGuardia or whatever. But either way, what ended up happening was he took off, and he ended up hitting birds in a bird strike situation, where the bird strikes took out both of his engines.
Wow.
And he had 155 people on board an aircraft. That what he ended up having to do is he ended up landing it right in the middle of the Hudson River.
Crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You know, and he didn't. He just went to work the morning. You know, he put on his jacket, put on his hat, and said, "I'm ready to go."
Hey, I'm not planning on doing anything great.
I'm not planning on being great today.
I'm not automatically great yet.
That's right. He's not automatic. No, that's exactly right.
Okay.
But he became great.
Gotcha.
And here's the deal. He became great because of, look at all the experience and the training that went behind it. The years of flying, that same patterns, that same routine, but all of those simulators that he had to go through in order to practice those emergency procedures. It reminds me of, just really quickly, a quote by Winston Churchill. Okay. And the quote says, "To each there comes in their lifetime a special moment when they are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do something very special, unique to them and fitted to their talents. What a tragedy if that moment finds them unprepared or unqualified for that which could have been their finest hour." You know what I'm saying? Sully didn't become great that day because he landed his plane in the Hudson. Lieutenant Colonel Stilwell didn't become great when she was picked to become a squadron commander. They were put in those places, I believe, for a specific time and a specific reason. And it was because of their hard work and preparation and training and experience that they became great in what was their finest hour.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying?
You mentioned something, and you speaking about the training that goes behind it, the repetitions. You were telling me a few weeks ago, do you remember about diving? You guys got to be in the water, take your mask off, right? What's the story behind that? Sounds a little similar.
It does indeed. It is so important for us to be able to practice when my wife kicks my face and the face mask comes off, you know.
Yes, sir.
Yep, she kicks it off all the time, and I have to put it back on. So I have to practice doing that.
But you practice if just in case your mask comes off.
That's right.
How do you recover?
Exactly.
Something might happen in the water, but your mind responds to what you've been trained to do, repetition over and over. Sully was in a situation where he was trained to be in that. He didn't expect it to happen.
Nope.
Didn't plan for it to happen, but his mind was like, hey, hold up. Let's pull on this Rolodex real quick.
There you go.
Gotcha.
That's it, exactly.
Gotcha.
And we're going to go on in the next segment. We're going to talk a little bit about what went behind that as well.
Okay.
It all of those procedures, all of those things were rote memorization.
Nice.
You know, a lot of our Medal of Award winners and a lot of our wounded warriors did what they did because of the training that went behind it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was automatic for them, you know, and they just did it out of rote memory.
Like the Olympics, we had the young lady, I believe she was an Army member, just won the shooting.
Yes, that's right, to target.
Man, we do that all the time.
All the time.
Training, right? Man, for the first time, I don't know how long, you know, she has the world record now of power.
Yep.
But it's what she knows, what she does. That's her. She had to practice. She had to do this over and over again.
Yes.
So when it was game time, the highest stage, the biggest stage in the world.
Yeah, that's right.
She was able to show that's their Rolodex.
Exactly.
Game time.
Exactly.
Let's go, big brother.
Yeah, now you're talking.
This man in here teaching
now
today.
You're talking.
This man in here teaching today. So again, we didn't rehearse this. So if you guys think that we go out, sometimes we go over notes, but today me and Mr. G, he said, hey man, this is what we're gonna talk about.
Yep.
He threw some notes at me. I said, hey man, let's just go. That's good enough.
Yes, indeed.
Hey, 78.6 FM Yomaton. If you're just tuning in, I'm here with Mr. Garricky. We have his security bodyguard in the back, Miss G. And we're in here talking about quiet greatness. I said, wait, quiet greatness. And amazing topic. We'll be right back after this break. Positive Vibes with Winsome, 78.6 FM, Yoma Time. .6 FM, Yoma Time, Positive Vibes with Winston. Mr. G, say something real quick. I want to make sure I got you.
Hey, we got it.
There he is. There he is. Positive Vibes with Winston. I got my big brother, Scott Garricky, here with me. Mr. G has been talking about quiet greatness, which was an awesome topic. I couldn't wait to talk about it. We're going to pick up where we left off. Mr. G, what are we talking about?
Okay, so we're talking a little bit about what quiet greatness is, and the fact that people display these really, really great talents, but they're quiet about it. They're reserved. They're humble. Okay, so we talked a little bit about that, and we talked about people the categories of greatness that people were in and so forth.
Right.
But what makes people great? What goes behind that greatness? And it really is that dedication, like we were talking about, that dedication and the daily, the activities that we do on a day-to-day basis, the routines and the habit patterns that we set up. Are when we're faced with adversity, sometimes, we just want to give up. We're having a hard day and I'm just like throwing in the towel. It's like, nope, it's not giving up. Right. It is not looking at failure as a negative.
Right.
Okay. It's looking at failure as really an opportunity to learn. Thomas Edison, he found 2,000 ways to make or to not make an incandescent light bulb, right?
It just took
took one.
That's right.
I
love when I hear that.
Yes.
Yes.
So
1,000 ways to get it wrong.
That's right.
But it only took one to get it right.
Get one to get it right.
I love that.
Exactly.
Yes.
So look at failure as an opportunity to learn,
right,
versus taking on shame or
When we've spoken about that in the past, then it's always there's lessons in the failures, right? So every time he failed, he figured out he identified something that was wrong. Then he'd fix it. The next time he identified something else. And so each time he was learning a lesson, chopping it up, and putting it all together until
exactly.
That's it, man.
Exactly. And it's just like that in our lives too, We figure out, hey, I failed at this.
Right.
Okay, well, what went wrong?
Right.
And we'll try something different.
There it is.
You know what I'm saying?
I fell off the bike,
That's right.
but I hit that curb. I'm not going to hit that curb twice.
Not going to hit it again.
That's it. Yes, sir.
So it's all about that. Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do.
Yep.
So excellence then is not an act, but rather a habit. Okay. And so, we got to set these patterns. We got to set these routines together on a day-to-day basis, because they're the things that are going to help us get through life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if your listeners listen to Admiral McRaven or not, and if they're University of Texas fans, they're probably not going to. But I tell you what, go on to YouTube and look up his commencement speech in 2014.
Admiral McRaven?
Admiral McRaven.
Okay.
Yep. Admiral McRaven gave a commencement speech, and he gave out 10 different aspects for life and how to change the world. One of the first things he did was he said, make your bed every morning. And now that won't change the world. But what
Right.
he's trying to say is start the day with a task completed.
Let's go.
Because that gets your mindset is already I'm a winner.
Man, come on. We ain't supposed to burn down the microphones in here. Mr. G in here teaching today, yo.
That's
y'all
what
hear this?
I'm saying. Yes.
Security. Make your bed.
Make your bed
Yes.
every day.
Yes.
Because even if the day went really, haywire,
Right.
You come home at night and you got a made bed.
There it is.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So make your bed. Start your day with a task completed, and that starts out the rest of his speech. But boy,
Nice.
I tell you what, that's the type of things that make the world change.
You start your day off with an accomplishment.
Yes.
No matter what happens the rest of the day, you already had one victory.
Exactly.
I love that,
Yeah,
man.
exactly
Mr. G in here
right.
teaching today.
Yes.
Security. Yes, sir.
So I want to go on to say, and follow on with what Admiral McRaven said with
Okay.
a quote from Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn, he basically said that we all must suffer from two pains in our lives.
Okay.
The first pain is the pain of discipline.
Yeah.
Okay, we can all remember two-a-days and that type of work that we do, and no pain, no gain, right?
Right.
So we all suffer from pain of discipline or the pain of regret.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between those is that discipline weighs ounces, whereas regret weighs tons. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that discipline that we have, that every day we're doing this, those disciplines that we inculcate into our lives, they become habit patterns. They become routines. And then we're doing them automatically without even thinking about it.
Right.
Whereas, so going to the gym 3 or 4 times a week or whatever, eating the right foods and so
Right.
forth, that doesn't take too much to do, So that discipline weighs ounces. But the weight of regret,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Right.
That's going to weigh. How did I get into this situation? And you look back and you think, well, it was iterative.
Right.
It took, not doing the discipline that you needed to do, and this is how you got to where you are.
This is how it happened.
This is how it happened.
Yeah.
So I believe that that road to quiet greatness has to be populated with stretching beyond yourself.
Okay.
Because in order to grow,
Yeah.
you have to stretch beyond your comfort zone.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? So let me ask you, when was the last time you, Winsome, went beyond just what your comfort zone is?
Push past comfort.
Push past comfort.
Leonard Burden, you're gonna love that, man. I'm gonna cut that out for you. Me and Mr. G give you a quick pause and push past comfort. Leonard Burden, PPC. I don't know if it's .com, whatever he got, but that man's killing it out there in the U.S., man.
Mm-hmm.
Much love to Leonard Burden and the push past comfort that he's trying to do with fitness and coaching and everything, man. It's what we're talking about right now. Mr. G, the last time I had to push past comfort was weekend before last, leaving this booth, my comfort zone right here, and going in there to the green room and testing around with the live show.
Yeah.
I was sweating like bricks in there.
We went beyond your comfort zone.
Hey, I was like, I got a face for radio. What am I doing in here right now? What's happening?
Yeah.
But that was something I overwhelming. I wanted to walk out a couple of times and say, I'll try this again another time. But I pushed through it, and I love what I learned.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah. So that was the last time for me.
That's the last time. That's great. That's a great example. People, they oftentimes will want to push themselves by, saying, hey, I want to run a marathon. Okay. That definitely beyond yourself physically, right?
Oh,
yeah. I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to lose 40 pounds, whatever. That's pushing beyond yourself.
Right.
And another one that people don't often think of, especially men, is expressing your emotions.
Say it again. He ain't burning up the mic again.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Let's go.
Men, they like to keep stuff inside, and everything and bury it all down. But expressing your emotions as a guy
pushes him way
beyond my comfort zone. I'm telling you what. I'm trying to learn,
Let's go.
Even married 32 years.
Let's go. 30 years later.
Yeah.
All right, let's push past this comfort zone real quick.
Exactly.
I like it. That's why you got kicked in the face, everybody.
That's right. Exactly.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
I wish y'all could see Miss G every time I do that.
She is funny.
Pushing past comfort.
Pushing past.
I think you hit it absolutely on the nail, big brother. You said discipline.
Yep.
Not only the willingness, but the ability to push past your comfort zone, right?
Yep.
And in doing so, making sure that whatever you're focused on, whatever your goal is, that you're keeping that consistent discipline, that mentality, that routine that's going to allow you to, like you said, create that as this is who I am.
That's exactly it.
Based on what I've learned.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. Look at this dude.
Yeah.
Burning up the mic.
Exactly.
5 minutes in. I'm ready.
But before we go where we want to go and push ourselves to a goal that we put out there, we have to know where we're at. Okay, so that's what John Maxwell was talking a little bit about.
Burning up the mic. Where you go, where you need to go, you got to know where you're at first.
You got to know where you're at.
Let's go.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
So that's exactly what he says, and he's talking about that, and it reminded me of Dirty Harry, where in the movie Magnum Force back in the day, he said, a man's got to know his limitations.
Man's got to know his limitations.
Man's got to know his limitations. And so basically you got to know what you can do and what you can't do.
Right.
Some of us, we're going to be thrust into those situations where we're going to become president.
Right.
Not everybody's going to become president.
Right.
Not everybody's going to become an astronaut. Right. Not everybody's going to become a world-renowned chef.
Right.
Okay. But the thing you got to remember is I got that. In reality, we're not going to be those kind of guys.
Right.
But that doesn't give us an excuse to not push past our abilities.
Let's go.
You know what I'm saying? Push past it. Don't be afraid to take those chances in life.
So you saying right now, I can't be an astronaut. I'm leaving. I'm out. So
I'm sorry, brother.
He just spoiled my dreams.
I'm being real.
On 78.6 FM, Yoma Time. Mr. G, and it's important, even if we roll into the third segment, man, it's important to say that because expectation management.
Yes.
If you don't have expectation management and you reach one of those goals that you have and it's just unreasonable because of rules that you can't control.
Exactly.
That kills a lot of spirits.
Exactly.
And then they want to try for anything else. They want to shoot for anything because their first dream wasn't attainable. But what you said is key. Hey, you walk in with that expectation management. Just because you're not an astronaut doesn't mean you can't work for NASA.
Exactly.
Let's go.
There you go.
Man, you got me fired up today. Mr. G, I wasn't ready for this, man. Just because you can't be the top chef doesn't mean you can't help prep the food.
There you go.
Everything you're saying right now makes so much sense because I think people forget that when they go into shooting for goals, dreams, at what they want. And even though you hear it all the time, anything is possible.
Anything.
Right? Yes. But at the same time, you have to look at what you're trying to attain and then look at what's required. If you just can't, because there's things that are not going to allow you. Not to say there's rules that you can't change.
There you go.
Right? Because, like, for example, age limits.
Absolutely.
Those change all the time.
Yep.
Right? Education, though.
Yeah.
If you don't have the education level required, you may not get the job.
Now
That's
you're
just
talking.
something that's been established for that position. So it's expectation management. What do I have to do? How do I reverse engineer what I need to do to get to that finish line?
Bingo.
This dude burning up the mic today.
Yes,
man.
indeed.
I was not ready. 78.6 FM Yoma Time. We're going to close this out in the third segment, but I want to cover down, if you guys are just tuning in, me and Mr. Garricky have been talking about quiet greatness. We use the examples of our previous commander who just recently departed, Miss Jamma K. Stillwell, who was amazing. Quiet greatness, walk into the room, even though nobody expected it to be, it was game time, right? They knew she was there. It was a whole different level of comfort. We talked about expectation management just now because we're talking about even though anything is possible, you have to understand that sometimes there's going to be hurdles or certain things that get in your way. Don't let that stop you from reaching to another dream, another goal. Your finish line can change. Just keep moving forward. We'll be right back after this break. 78.6 FM. Miss Garrick had to come grab me from the hallway because I was leaving. I didn't want security of the fire department to come in here and take us out because Mr. G's been burning up the mic this entire time. In case you guys are just tuning in, and I'm going to slow it down a little bit for the folks who are learning English. Forgive us. We got excited today. And thank you for tuning in. We love the fact that we have our teammates here listening because they want to be better at English. So thank you so much. We're talking about quiet greatness. Quiet greatness. The examples Mr. G has used, in addition to the points that he's made, have been amazing up to this point. Without recapping the entire thing, I will tell you that you can see this live on 78.6 FM Yomaton's YouTube, and it's going to be an awesome lesson if you're tuning in late. Mr. G, we left out of here talking about pushing past comfort, right? What are we talking about now, big brother?
You know, it's one of those things where, you know, we were talking about pushing past our comfort zones.
That's right.
And, you know, it's one of the things that really goes into doing that is having a mentor.
There it is.
You know what I'm talking about?
There it is.
You know, having that mentor, that one that sees beyond what you see.
Yep.
The potential that is in that person or in you.
Yep.
You know, that mentor is saying, hey, look, I see things in you.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about,
Yeah.
you know, and saying, hey, yeah, that is true.
It's funny he said, I'm going to cut him off because he knew I was going to bring this up. We're talking about my future plans, right? I just pushed the button recently.
Yes, you did.
I went in with a little list of things that I thought was cute and talked to my mentor over here, right? I'm like, Mr. G, look, this is what I'm thinking. Look how I'm holding the paper. This is how I was talking to him, too. This is what I'm thinking. And Mr. G was like, think bigger.
Think bigger.
Think bigger. And when he said that, you know, it kind of makes you pause. But you need somebody.
That's right.
Like you said. And you need to have those folks around you that see you.
Yes.
And see your potential. And Mr. G put it in such beautiful words. When they can see your potential and see what you're capable of.
That's exactly right.
Especially if you don't see it.
Especially if you
Let's
don't see
go.
it. It's a blind spot that you have. And I try to do that in people and just encourage them and say, hey, look, you have the capabilities. And let me give you an example. You know, and I show them, hey, you answered here. You did this. You did this. You took on this responsibility.
Yep.
What difference do you think it'll be when you go into this greater job or whatever, something that you're not comfortable with?
And being able to spell it out.
Yes,
Man.
exactly.
This guy.
You know, exactly. So that mentor is really, really important.
Yes, sir.
Another thing that's really, really important is your teacher. You know, like we talked about before, you know, how your teacher can teach you how to dribble, but isn't going to be able to teach you how to dunk.
Right.
You know, you got to have, or the 3-pointer, and then you dunk. You got to have that guy that can be able to show you how to dunk.
Right.
It's just like when I was practicing piano. You know, I had piano teachers. I had numerous piano teachers throughout my years because that one piano teacher would take me to a certain level, and then that would be about it. But then I went to another that took me to a higher level and another that took me to a higher level because they had different experiences and backgrounds and they were better at what they were doing at playing piano.
So if we're trying to connect you to it, say you're a fitness trainer.
Right.
So you know you can train, and we're talking about teachers. You're that coach. You can train them how to lift, how to build, and how to get bigger.
That's exactly.
But you can't tell them how to eat because you've never gone to school for it. You're not a nutritionist.
Bingo.
So you got to reach out to someone who can educate them on nutrition. I got you here. I got your 6 here. This person has your 6 on these.
See what I'm saying?
Burning up the
there
mic.
You go.
I got you.
So you got to have those mentors. You got to have those teachers that are going to be able to help you become great.
It's all going to be discipline too.
Exactly.
So,
discipline, attitude.
Imagine that, Mr. G. You got multiple teachers teaching you how to be the best version of whatever you're trying to accomplish. That alone takes focus, discipline, patience.
Yes. Patience.
Which is something that's this generation, I love you guys if you're listening, but patience was actually a thing back in our day.
Yes,
we
indeed.
had this thing called patience. Where
Yes.
you had to wait and let things develop. You didn't just automatically get it.
You got it.
New guys. Hi.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So you got those guys and everything. And the final aspect that I think that we need to touch on a little bit about greatness is the fact that, you know, those people that are great, they didn't do it by themselves. You know what I'm saying? Whether you had that coach or you had that mentor, but think of going back to Sully. When he was landing that plane, he had a co-pilot that was on board that plane. I guarantee you he was doing checklist items. He was talking on the radio. So he had a handful of plane he was trying to land. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, he was listening and so forth, but he was focused on trying to get that plane in a situation, a landing aspect, so he can land that plane.
Right.
He had somebody else though. He had the flight stewards and stewardesses in the back getting the passengers ready to land. Mm-hmm. He had the co-pilot that was doing his checklist items, and he also had, you know, air traffic control people on the ground saying, hey, you know, we're clear here, go here, you know, you're okay doing this. He had all those people that were supporting him in order to make him successful and great. Same thing with Lieutenant Colonel Stilwell. Lieutenant Colonel Stilwell ran a squadron that spanned the base in all kinds of different activities. And yet although she could probably do each of those jobs individually, she can't do every single job all the time.
Right.
She had to have people that did the job, and she was leading them.
She had support.
Right. Exactly. 1,500 people in our squadron that do all those different jobs and so forth to do the mission that we're required to do. Mm-hmm. So when she was quietly great, she was leading those people, but she couldn't do it all by herself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I think a big piece of that too was she had to trust those people.
Yes.
And I think sometimes we go and we think we have a team, but we don't quite trust the folks who are in your support circle or your support. So you have to have people in your camp that you trust.
Yes.
And you got to be able to lean on those people that you trust. And if you can't trust somebody in your camp, like she would, address it.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Identify, pinpoint, and address it.
That's part of leadership. That's another topic.
Yes. She isn't here burning up the mic. We're getting y'all ready for the next time. Look, that's awesome.
But it is one of those things that, you know, you just got to remember, you got a whole bunch of people behind you that support you in becoming great. So you just have to remember to also thank them and be appreciative of all the efforts that they do as well.
Never forget that you didn't do it by yourself.
Exactly.
There was always somebody. You know, we talked about this, I think, a few weeks ago. When you see these memes nowadays with the lion at the top of the hill, right? The lion didn't get up there by itself, guys.
No,
he didn't use his little paws to get all the way up the side of that hill, especially when it was snowing or something else was happening. He had help. There was somebody else helping push him up or giving him a little boost when he needed it. And that's exactly what good leaders do. We take care of people. Hopefully one day I'll be a good leader. But a good leader,
we're all getting there, aren't we?
We take care of people. Mr. G, so a question, and I saw it on there, but I don't think we talked about it. The measure of determination and curiosity you have.
Oh, yes.
I didn't want you to forget. I saw that.
Yeah, I basically talked about that a little bit. You know, the measure of curiosity, the attitude that you have, and just the abilities that you have, the determination that you have is really going to be a factor in how great you are.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you become focused on trying to, you know, run a marathon.
Right.
And I'll give you an example. I read a book, basically a guy who coached people to run the Portland Marathon.
Okay.
And specifically, he gave different, you know, hey, are you an amateur, are you an intermediate, or are you an advanced runner? And he gave all kinds of different scenarios for each one of those training plans and so forth. But, you know, the one thing that he did say is you got to be focused on doing this, and you have to be disciplined. If you aren't, if you skip a week or something like that, you're going to have to go back and go and catch up to in your training plan, because you can't go forward unless you are, you know, unless you do these certain things.
Like building blocks. You can't miss a block. Okay.
You can't miss that block.
Got you.
Now, and here's one of the factors that also he said, you know, some days you wake up and you just go, man, I am really not looking forward to this 12-mile run today. It is just not in me, brother. I am dead. I just want to turn over.
That's it.
But he said, you know what? Get dressed. Do it anyway. There's a little technique. You lay out your clothes anyway, and you put your shoes out there. You get dressed. Give it the 10-minute rule. 10 minutes.
Well, what's a 10-minute rule? You're holding secrets now.
That's what I'm talking about.
What's this?
10-minute rule is basically you get out there and you run 10 minutes.
Okay.
That's it. You know, a 12-mile run is going to take you about, 2 hours to do or thereabouts.
Yeah.
You know, so 10 minutes isn't that long in perspective, right?
Right.
So if you get out there, he finds that, about 75, 80% of the time, when you get out there and you go 10 minutes, you're going to go the rest of the way, because at that 10-minute point, you're going, I don't feel that bad.
I've already been doing this for 10 minutes.
I've been doing it for 10 minutes. I can do the other hour and 45.
Okay.
It's not a big deal.
Okay.
So give it the 10 minutes, that whatever it is that you're doing on those days that you just don't feel like doing it, you know? And then you're going to find, hey, yep, I'm good.
Okay.
And he said, sometimes your body just isn't ready for it. Sometimes you are sick.
Yeah.
And that 10 minutes is going to tell you, hey, yeah, I'm really sick. I'm not going to make it. Okay. Turn around, go back home.
But you gave it the 10.
Gave it the 10.
Yeah.
You gave it the 10.
I like that.
Those are just some mental tricks that you can do to overcome hurdles in your determination.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Mrs. G been quiet greatness.
Quiet greatness.
Listen to all those points. If you guys, I'm of course tell you again, if you guys are just tuning in, we've been talking about quiet greatness. This is going to be, of course, on the 78.6 FM YouTube. I'm going to drop it on the site, and, of course, I'll put the link out there on Facebook for everybody. Mr. G, this was amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, if you guys know, if you've been listening, the third segment is always, always, always dedicated to the Air Force Wounded Warrior Wellness and Resiliency Team. This message is so fire that I know they love this too, so I wasn't even going to interrupt it, man. This is a beautiful message, Mr. G. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Our wounded warriors are quiet, great heroes themselves.
Oh, yes.
I go back to that commercial where I see the guy walking into the restaurant.
Yeah.
He's got his amputated leg. And he gets over to he's just minding his own business.
That's right.
Doing his thing, and yet he comes in with quiet greatness, sits down, and they come over and say, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you, wounded warriors.
We talk about mental fitness, right? Mental health. We mentioned how the tennis player here in the Olympics, and also most recently Simone Biles, they took a knee for their mental health.
Yep.
If on the highest stage, and I wanted to mention this to anyone who's listening for this third segment, if on the highest stage in the world, let me say that again, the highest, most viewed stage in the world every 4 years.
That's right.
This is when everybody's watching, right? The person who's competing can take a knee for their mental health and say, I matter more. I'm a person. At the end of the day, when this is over, I'm still me. That means that if someone at that level can do it, any and every one of us can do the same thing. If you have gone through things, you're dealing with something, you're struggling, and you refuse to take a knee for you, you're doing yourself an injustice.
That's right.
Pay attention to what these folks are doing. They're making a beautiful statement and showing you that you matter. So if you forgot, if I haven't told you, or if you haven't heard it from us in a few weeks, you matter. There was a great speaker recently, one of our military leaders, I believe, said, mental fitness is fitness.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
Is that right, Mr. G?
That's SecDef Austin. Yes, indeed. Yeah, he said mental fitness is fitness. So just like you have a fitness, you go to the gym and you're fit, same thing with mental fitness.
That's it. And all of those helping agencies all throughout the world.
Yes.
If you go from, because we're civilian attire right now, I say it like this, from therapy to counseling, whatever you utilize, there's so many different ways to connect with folks now. Please make sure when the weight of life is getting heavy that you use those folks to help spot you.
Get some help.
Get them. They're there for that.
Yes, they're trained, they're professional.
The coaches, we've been talking about coaches this whole time.
Exactly.
Let them spot you.
Yes.
A 78.6 FM Yomaton. Mental fitness is fitness. Taking care of your brain is the same as taking care of your body. We don't talk about that enough. Again, quiet greatness. Mr. G, if I haven't told you, this is my favorite segment of the month when we get to come in here and do this together. Next one we don't know what we're going to talk about. Throughout the weeks, we just come up with something.
Yep.
He normally comes up with something, and I'm like, that's beautiful. Let's do it. My big brother, Mr. Garricky, we will see you in a few weeks.
Yes,
I got to get
indeed.
with your security. Your
Yes.
security's over there watching me. 78.6 FM Yomaton. Positive vibes of Winsome. Today was quiet greatness. You are loved, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.